As I've said before and will continue to say, we have to address this unspoken assumption among some college football fans that a team's win-loss record or strength of record, essentially just focusing and fixating on the loss column, is more valuable than their strength of schedule or the quality of the teams that they faced. This mindset creates a lot of unnecessary conflict in college football discussions and discourse, all because of the current ranking system or the way that it's done, which I think, honestly, we could do a lot of changes there. So, in my view, rankings shouldn't even be a thing until the final third of the season. Preseason rankings end up skewing the perception of teams from the outset, leading people to evaluate teams based on those early rankings instead of focusing on how they're actually performing. That's a major flaw in the system that creates misleading narratives about who the best teams are. So let's break this down. A 12-0 team with the weakest strength of schedule in the entire country is not on the same level as a 10-2 team that played one of the toughest schedules. For example, take Indiana right now. They're sitting at 10-0, but they have the 100th ranked strength of schedule according to ESPN. On the other hand, Alabama is 7-2, but has played the 11th hardest schedule. The strange part is that even though people don't always admit it, they actually use more subjective criteria like quality of team when they're actually doing the rankings. The perfect example is Miami from last week. They were ranked in the top 5 by multiple sources until they lost. And then suddenly they fell out of the top 10. So you're telling me they were at 1 week a top 5 team, and then because of the loss, they're no longer a top 5 team? That means that they were evaluating using one of those criteria, like strength of record, and also aware that the strength of their schedule was weak, that the quality of the team was weak. So they acknowledged that they had a good record, but they were a weak team. And so, but the thing is, the ranking should be a little bit more consistent than that. It shouldn't have to go through this dramatic dropout. So, like I said, they were ranked in the top 5 by multiple sources until they lost, and then suddenly they fell out of the top 10. If they were truly a top 5 team, one loss wouldn't cause such a drastic drop. What happened is that the rankers were overvaluing the strength of record. Even though we all saw Miami struggle against a relatively weak schedule, ranked 39th in strength of schedule, not super weak, but weaker than teams that are in front of them with 1 or 2 losses, they didn't look like a top 5 team. So it's one thing if you have a weak schedule and you dominate your schedule. Look at Clemson in 2018. But they were ranked that way, Miami, this year, simply because they were undefeated. At the end of the day, we have to confront these, unspoken biases and decide what we value more in ranking. So this is something that you all can do in the comment section right now. Start typing. Are we going to base them purely, like the ranking, on the win-loss column? Or are we going to be honest? I would say you have to be honest, look at what's going on and acknowledge that the quality of the team is and always has been a key factor. If it's the latter, then we shouldn't be surprised when teams like Georgia, Alabama, or Ohio State rank higher than undefeated teams like Indiana or Army, or imagine if Boise State was undefeated, right? Who are playing the weakest schedules in the nation, or even, like I said, or even one-loss teams like BYU and Boise State. It's time we stop pretending otherwise and be upfront about how we're evaluating teams. So how about we just make this comment section a place where people can say their ideal way of ranking. So I'm going to give out mine here at the end. I think one thing we can do to fix this, and it can be refined a little bit more, is that you acknowledge that both things are important. Yes, no one would tell you that a team that's 6-6 should be in the playoffs because they had the hardest schedule in the nation. No, that's not what we're saying. You have to kind of balance it out. I think it's fair to say that a team with the hardest schedule in the nation that went 10-2 should be ranked ahead of a team that's 12-0 that had literal weakest schedule in the nation. That seems fair to me. Would you agree or not agree? Right? Let's also look at it in a different way, right? Or let's use just more and more examples. Let's say that, and I know it can be tough. Like, let's see if we can come up with a threshold. Are we saying that once you hit 3 losses, you're automatically out? Are we accepting if it's 2 losses? Do we only allow one loss teams to get in over an undefeated team? The thing is, people have all these presuppositions and preconceptions about what should be allowed and what shouldn't from a team who loses versus a team who is undefeated. So you have to, one, when you make your comment in the comment section, you have to acknowledge, one, what is your bias? So you should start out by saying, I typically believe that strength of record, or if you value an undefeated win-loss column over the value of a team, I want to know, how would you all resolve this issue that we're having? Because I personally believe what I just highlighted is the real reason why there's so much fighting about the rankings every week. It's because we got some people who are overvaluing strength of record, and then you got some people that maybe you can say they're overvaluing the strength of schedule. But I think we need to balance them and acknowledge when teams that may not have an unblemished record are better than the teams that have an unblemished record. So what do you all think? Put it in the comment section below. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I'll see you the next time.